Hey guys! Oh my gosh! It's been so long. I love doing the sibling videos. Like, it's so fun and it gives us an excuse to go out and do something. But man, I just love this little thing that we have going. It's like one of my New Year's resolutions was every day have meditation time. And for me, I take journaling, reading, yoga, or actual meditation as those are all like ways to recenter myself, and that's what I count as meditation for myself. And I feel like this is one of those ways. Like, whenever I talk to you guys or my freaking phone by myself in this car in the middle of nowhere, I always feel like just recentered with myself because usually I end up talking about something and I'll be like ranting. And then by the end of it, I'll be like, oh, so this is why that happens. And this is like what happened as in my childhood and what happens in the world to make me feel this way. And so that makes complete sense. And I don't really have to be mad about it. And it's okay. I feel like that's literally what every single episode is. It's me coming in here, like, what the heck is going on in my life? And then I figure it out slowly. But it's, guys, it's taken me a while to get to this point. I'm a little late because I've been posting every week and I'm really proud of myself because the first post for YouTube was the hardest one. Like, I've known that I've wanted to post for years and years, but every week, like, I'd film something and I'm like, okay, all I have to do is edit it and post it. And it took me so long to actually finally post just one thing. And since I posted it, like my first video, I've been able to post every single week. This week I'm a little late because my guys, my routine has just been going a little whack and I haven't realized it I guess until today, but I'm kind of throwing things out of the regular, which I love. Like, I love to spice up my life. It's not anything crazy. Like, my life is still, for the most part, it feels the exact same. But if I was in high school, I'd be like, "Oh, this is a completely new phase. Like, we're changing into something different." I mean, for the basics, nothing's really changed. I'm working the same place. I'm still at home. It's still this wasteland. Do you guys see that? It's there. The air quality is really bad right now, I guess. And I didn't realize that's what it was until I checked the weather because every time I come here, you'd think it's the middle of January. It's 30 degrees outside. Why are there people fishing? But there are. There's like four cars. It's actually the most busy I've ever seen it. And then, so my boyfriend and I have been trying to find time to see each other because at first he was in Arizona and that's like a whole flight away. And then he moved to a different state. And so now we're only like 4 hours away, but we don't have a reliable car. So long distance freaking sucks. Which is so weird because me and my boyfriend literally started out as long distance, or like we were together for not together, but we had been on and off kind of. Never officially dating. Like, most situationship you could probably ever get with a person, and we were like that for 4 or 5 years before we actually started dating or like locking in. But we locked in last fall, but we weren't dating. We were just like, okay, we're not going to ditch each other this time. I feel like I've talked about this a lot maybe, but when that was right before I left to go study abroad, and he was also doing work in Arizona. So we were together for a week at a time, and then I was gone for 5 months. And when I left, we weren't dating. Like, we were really sad because we were like, oh, this kind of feels like the first time that maybe things would actually work out. And then I left and was like, okay, well, I guess it's not our time still. And every time we'd get back together, when we were like 16, 15, we'd be like, okay, maybe one day when we're 18, it'll work out. Took until we were 20 years old to actually start dating. But when I left for study abroad, we weren't together. And then by the end of study abroad, he hadn't came to visit me or anything, but we were FaceTiming every day and we planned to go on a month-long trip together. So I think it's so weird because I don't think that relationships can be built online. Like, for me personally, I don't think I can do that. But I mean, I did know this person for 5 years before, but over those 5 months of us being separated is when we realized, oh, like we actually want to date. Like we want to be together. And then we went on that trip and we started dating. So we have been, and I mapped it out, we've been, the amount of time that we've spent separated and together is equal over these 5 years. Like cut the months in half. Half of those months we've been together, half of those months we weren't speaking at all. And so now we're long distance, but after dating, we are going on 8 months. And after actually dating and being together, it sucks. It really, really sucks. And I hate it. And it's becoming like, we've definitely had our issues, to say the least. I honestly thought like we could tackle long distance and it wouldn't be a big deal because, like, I thought, oh, I'm going to miss him a ton, obviously. But I just, I feel like long distance is a really big deal for a lot of people. And I was like, okay, well, we're pretty used to it. Like, it'll be fine. Dude, last night, so I've been trying to find a time to go up there and visit him. And my family's just like never stable on cars. And we all have a bajillion schedules that I have to schedule around. And then I also have like my work and whatever. So, last night I was working and I got a text from him saying, oh, hey, my brother has to pick up a drift car from there, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to drive down there. I literally thought he was pranking me. He wasn't. So we got like 8 hours to spend together. And it was so chaotic. Dude, I have to work till 2 a.m. this morning. And then I wanted to do this today too. And he literally did not sleep until 7:30 a.m. And I was like in and out every hour. I'd wake up, he was still awake, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? But yeah, so he went home. That's pretty sad. We have 19 days until we go on our trip. I'm scared about that too, guys. I'm really, really excited. I'm really excited, but I'm kind of terrified to go on a trip right now. We're gonna be gone for a month. Actually like 3 weeks, but it'll be okay. Anyways, what should I talk about? What's been on my mind? Should we keep talking about this long distance thing? How to make long distance work? Trust your partner? Trust your partner? I get really. Whoa, do you guys see the birds? Oh, whoa, they all landed right in front of me. I think my emotion regulation is so out of whack since I don't know when, but I used to be really in tune with my emotions. And then I think I went through something that made me like, I think that I know what's going on all the time in my body, but then I'll randomly start crying out of nowhere in the middle of the day. And I'm like, why am I actually heartbroken right now? And I couldn't tell you why. And then I'm like, okay, it's just like me pretending to be an actor. And I'm okay. But especially in a relationship, I feel like my emotions are all over the place and I have no idea how to map them, and it honestly pisses me off because that's one of the things that I used to pride myself on, is the fact that I know what my emotions mean. Like I'm very emotionally intelligent and I know what I'm going through. And I like to think that I still do, but then sometimes my body reacts in ways that I'm like, what the heck is actually going on? Like I don't understand at all. And I think that's regular. Like people go through that. People think they know themselves and then something happens and they're like, "Oh, okay, I guess I don't fully." But when it comes to jealousy and stuff, I feel like I can kind of take myself out of situations really, really easily, like derealization, whatever. And I can look at it from an intellectual level. I think that's probably where my emotion regulation gets thrown off, because you feeling something and knowing what you're feeling is different from intextualizing, is that the word? Is different from analyzing your emotions from an outside perspective. Like maybe you're feeling something, you take yourself out of the situation and look at it from an outside view and try and be like, okay, what am I feeling that for? But you're not feeling it anymore. You're just like looking at it from as if it's a different person. You know what I'm saying? So I used to go through this a lot. Like I think whenever I go through something really, really hard in life, instead of feeling it, and maybe I'll let myself feel it for a little bit, but when I feel something, I am incapable of functioning. Like I will completely lose myself, and it's really, really not good. Like I'm not good at controlling myself when it comes to that unless I take myself out of the situation completely. So if something happened to me, I'd probably be like, okay, you have a week to cry, you have a week to be sad, and then after that we have to pick ourselves up. And then after I pick myself up, it's actually me separating myself from the situation emotionally. And if I think I'm feeling something, if I think I'm going through something, I'll analyze it. I'll be like, okay, what is that? Where does that stem from? What does this mean? How can we change it? But not in a feeling it way, just in an intellectual way. And I feel like this might be something that men do a lot, which is why it's not processing your emotions. You have to feel your emotions to get over something. You can't just analyze it and then be like, okay, that's interesting, and then hope that it goes away. Even if you give direct answers to problems in your like psyche, if you completely make sense of everything and why you're feeling that way and why it would hurt, that's not going to make it just go away. Like, obviously, you can put reason to things, but you have to feel it to overcome it. And I think one of our big problems is that and maybe for men, like, I don't really know, but this is like a theory that I just came up on. They are able to separate themselves from their emotions and look at it from an intellectual standpoint, but you're never going to get over it if you do that, right? And so at the end of the day, you have a bunch of reasoned baggage, a bunch of organized baggage, but nonetheless still baggage. And so that's something that I've come to, I feel like, in the past few years of my life, is I have all these things that I've gone through, all this, like, all these things that have happened where they make me feel really, really bad. And I feel it maybe for a day, or I don't feel it at all. But I take a step back from my own mind and I'm like, okay, this is why this goes to this goes to this is your childhood trauma acting here, this is the world's input here, blah blah blah. And I have reasons to everything, but I haven't healed. And so I feel like now when I come upon new situations that kind of trigger me in one of those ways that I've like already felt and already reasoned out, and I'm like, okay, that's another thing to add to the list here of why I would hurt in this sector. I don't automatically feel it. And so being genuine in like a deep conversation, like I'm thinking about me and my partner, okay? Where it's like something maybe with my ex that I haven't fully resolved, but I've put reason to. Like I've fully intellectually resolved it, but emotionally there's obviously still something there. And I feel like I like to pride myself on the fact that I have gotten over a lot of things. Like I look at myself from 2 years ago and I'm like, wow, I have come so far, but obviously there's still things that I act differently in situations. I am not the complete, like, I'm obviously not the same person that I was back then, and I'm not the same person that I was before, who was a person who never went through pain like that, who never experienced a trust breach like that, or maybe they did, but in childhood, you know? And so, like, I'd want to be fully healed like the version before, but I'm not going to be able to ever be like that because now I've learned different things. I've come, you know, it's like trust issues, okay? Let's take a look at that. Like you can be betrayed and understand where it came from the other person's perspective. Understand why they would do something like that to you. And then understand how it affected you completely and how it hurt you and why you'd still hurt and how it could affect other relationships in your life and how you perceive the world now. And you could be like, okay, that's not very healthy. Probably don't do that. You don't have the choice to probably not do that. If something comes up where it's like, ooh, that's exactly what somebody else did who betrayed me, obviously you're going to feel some sort of way. But it's how you react to it that obviously makes the difference. But I think what's even worse now is that when something comes up like that, instead of being able to react how I'd want to, like my raw reaction, guys, I keep looking back and I keep thinking that there's like a pole in the middle of the window back there. You guys can't see it, but it's kind of scary. Good thing it's not dark. Anyways, instead of being able to give it my raw reaction, which I feel like that when something happens, I'm not able to give it my raw reaction. And when I think of raw reaction, I think of when I was a kid in class and somebody said something mean to you, and so you start crying because that hurt your feelings. Or, you know, someone said something really sweet to you, and so then your automatic reaction is to like blush and be like, oh, that's so kind. Now I feel like so many of my reactions are filtered. And I'm not saying that this is a good thing by any means. I feel like this is really bad, but I think that we're also taught this to like, if somebody says something rude, you can't just cry. Like, what are you going to do if your boss says that you're a bad employee? Cry in their face? No, you're going to like suck it up and whatever. But in really deep and meaningful relationships that are like the closest that you could get to a person, when you're going through something and you're not giving them your raw reaction, and sometimes you don't have control over it. That's what I'm saying with this, like, you're separated from your emotions. You're looking at it from an intellectual standpoint. When you've done that enough, having just a pure conversation of this is why that hurt me, this is what's going on, this is why we don't feel right, then I feel like I can get so separated from the actual point. Like, I will try to make a point, but sometimes I'm like, do I even feel this? And I feel like it's kind of like, am I bipolar? Am I freaking, uh, I don't know. But I think it's also just a trauma response of like, I don't want to immediately feel the pain that you're causing me from this situation. And so I take myself out of it. But from one side of my like mind, I know that this is actually hurting me. And so I have to explain that in some sort of way. But also, I don't want to feel the pain that it gives me, you know? Um, so this thing happens in when I feel like I'm in relationships where if I witness a problem that kind of feels like familiar or traumatic-ish and it's like connected in some sort of way, I immediately go into like blockade mode where it's like I have taken myself out, right? Blockade mode, sure. Where anything that you say, anything that I say even maybe doesn't even come from a pure place of I want to fix this, I want this to be better, but it's just like I need to protect myself right now from having this conversation, from from feeling this kind of way. It's like confrontation. Like I don't want to confront my actual feelings towards this thing. And so I'll go into blockade mode where it's like maybe I'll just, and this is really terrible, guys, I'll just like apologize or like say everything that I know that I feel that I understand is like what I want to say, but I'm not connected to it in any sort of way. So let me give a real life example, okay? Because what the heck is this? What am I even saying? So, my boyfriend and I obviously were long distance. We What's interesting about it is that I've never experienced something where it's like we are both being so transparent. We both care about each other so much, but we both come from places of extreme distrust. And when you put two people, like I I remember thinking when we first got together, I was like, okay, this guy is so perfect and so healthy in regards to like trust issues and stuff that he'll just reassure me and whatever. And what I didn't realize was that he also came from his own end of it where we are two people, like I thought he would save me, we're two people saving each other. But it's still hard, especially when we're away from each other and we know that we care about each other so much. It's like that first second we got back together, it's like, okay, are you acting weird? And I like clocked it in my mind. I'm like, okay, is he acting different? Is he up to something? I'm trying to think of all the things. And he is also doing the same thing, where it's both like, we're not doing anything. We care about each other so much and we don't want to go through what we went through again, where it's like something happened and then we have to put together the clues ourselves and then we have to like finally crack the code, and it's months later and we've lost months of our lives trying to be the perfect person for this other person who clearly didn't give a crap about you because they did all these things to you and treated you this way, and we don't want to go through that again. And it's so bizarre because I think so many people of this generation especially have trust issues, and getting into new relationships just seems so impossible because there is so much work that you have to do. There's so much work that you have to put in by yourself first, but then everything, like you can think that you're completely healed. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, there's always, like, I feel like I've healed so much. And I remember when I was still single, I was like, wow, I've really done everything. Like, there was a moment in the summertime, a few months, where every day I'd be like, I am so bored in the best way possible. Like, I found absolute peace because I'd healed all of the things that I thought needed healing. I was completely over my ex. I didn't have anything in my present life that was like agitating me, that was making me feel scared, that was like, you know, causing disturbance. And so I was just at complete peace and boredom. And then when I got into a relationship, one of the hardest things was being like, oh, so there are still things that I haven't worked through. And I have to overcome them to get into a relationship. Like, it's about that letting your guard down again. And I didn't even realize that my guard was necessarily that high. But then letting someone in, I'm like, oh, I actually have to let you in. Like, if I want this to work, if I want us to be a strong couple, I have to let my guard down. I have to trust you. And learning what that means and learning how to do it is really, really hard. And there's so much that you can do by yourself, but you can't do it all by yourself. And so now we're here together and we are locked into the max and trying to figure out how to move forward and how to keep us like we are, how to stay happy, how to stay strong when we're so far apart, but also work through these things that we still haven't worked through because of our past relationships. And realize that, like, you're never gonna know what someone's intentions are. Well, you can think that you know, like, you're never gonna be able to completely see into somebody else's mind. I'm never gonna know that my boyfriend is never ever gonna hurt me or something's never gonna happen. But part of being in a relationship is hoping and trusting that hope that they love you and that they wouldn't do anything to hurt you. And it's tough. It freaking sucks. But I feel like that's something about like this generation is that we a lot of the times are not willing to trust, and we're not willing to put that guard down. And as soon as we get hurt, because it feels like it's everybody, right? When I got out of my relationship, and I've heard it from so many people too, because it's everyone that you talk to, guys and girls. Everyone has gotten cheated on. Everyone's ex cheated on them. Everyone is a liar. Everyone put them through hell. And now there is no one left in the world. No one is faithful. No one. I'm never going to have a girlfriend again. I'm never going to have a boyfriend again. I'm never going to be in a relationship. I'm going to be the happy, cool aunt that's rich and successful by themselves. And as much as like, I'm still all for that, like, especially for women. I love when women are like, I don't need a man. I don't want to be in a relationship. I have all these things that I want to accomplish for myself. And I love it so much. What I hate is that we live in a world where our love is supposed to be perfect or else we're dipping. Like, and I don't want to, not to excuse any man's behavior because I'm especially on that route, guys. Men freaking suck. Not to say that men also haven't gotten cheated on and whatever, but men really, 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 really suck in women's lives, and they're not doing anything to fix it most of the time. And that's why so many women are single right now, because being in a relationship with a man just is not worth it. And what I hate though is, and I do it too, like I've been doing it in my own relationship. It's like, okay, that's one thing that is not perfect and that I see kind of going wrong in the future. And I feel like I don't trust that. So I'm going to get over that. And I feel like we have this mindset today of like relationships are like apps. And the fact that, I mean, I won't even get into dating apps right now, but it's kind of an analogy for real relationships. It's like we don't have endless options. We don't. But social media gives us the illusion that the world is like, and the world is so big, like there are a lot of people, but imagine if we didn't have social media. Imagine if it was just the people that you've met in your immediate life. And that's why I love meeting organically too. Like I kind of get the ick when I meet somebody online, or like when I was single and people would hit me up and I'm like, this is not how I want to start a relationship. Like, ew, what do you mean we met off Snapchat and now we're dating? Ew. And no offense to anybody like that, just for me though, I get the ick. But I feel like dating apps and especially social media gives us this illusion that we just have endless options and that it's easy to drop a person and move on to the next. And love, I feel like it's so construed when people say love is about sacrifice and love is about what's that other word? It starts with a C. Compromise. Because I think that that is true, but I think the way that we look at it, and I think that the way that men expect it from women is so construed of how it's actually meant. And I feel like have you guys watched It's 11? It's that show on Netflix about the guy who goes back in time to stop JFK's murder and assassination. And there's this scene where this girl's husband, who's a crazy dude, who she's trying to divorce, doesn't want to divorce her, and she's now with another guy who's really, really great. And the husband comes back, the divorce, the ex, and he's literally holding her hostage and like cutting her face, and he's like, marriage is about compromise. And it made me realize, because a lot of this show was men being terrible to like us. I feel like that's kind of all that I see in a lot of places. Like it's kind of impossible to ignore once you've been clocked it for like the first time and you're like, oh, this wouldn't happen if men weren't treating other people like this wouldn't happen. Like every movie that I watch, especially if it's in the past, like I just watched a World War II movie too, and I read a World War II book, and every time I'm reading something like that or watching something like that, I'm like, All of our problems stem from the fact that this man went crazy or did crazy things. Like, have you guys watched, what is it called? Um, The Secret Code, The Secret Message, something. I don't know. This girl, this beautiful girl, it's World War II. She moves to this small town. She's gorgeous, and all of these guys are in love with her, and she has been in love with this guy who went off to war, and then his plane crashed right by her, and so she housed him and took care of him, and they got married. And then all the guys that were in love with her killed her husband, said that she was crazy, got in fights over her, made her like move into a cottage in the middle of nowhere, and then put her in an insane asylum, made it look like she killed her own baby, and literally all that she was doing was existing. And all these men were falling in love with her, but all the blame is put on her because she's beautiful. Like, what do you mean? You're actually crazy. Whatever. I hate to get into the past because it actually makes me so angry how men could treat women like that, and how, like, there are women living today who were treated like that. And we think that we're not. Anyways, whatever. But, compromise. Back to the compromise thing. We have this notion in our heads that I think relationships are about compromise and sacrifice. But the way that men view compromise is, okay, you're gonna, to the woman, you're gonna sacrifice all of your interests and all of your downtime to raise our children and make this house a home. And I'm gonna go work, and then after work, I'm gonna go play golf with my friends. I'm gonna go grab a beer. I'll be home. I'll take out the trash. And that's it. And you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna wake up the same time as me earlier, make me breakfast, help get the kids to school, know every single thing about the kids. When you come home, you're going to clean the entire house. You're going to meal prep for me. You're going to meal prep for the kids. After school, sorry, your job is not done. You're going to get them ready for bed. You're going to help them do their homework. You're going to talk to their teachers. You're going to know what grades they're getting. And you're going to cook us dinner. And then you're going to clean up after. And you're going to do the dishes. And all while you're doing that, I'm not going to give a crap. And I'm not going to help out. But since I'm paying for this house, then, and since you get to stay home, because obviously that's an easier job than me going to work for 8 hours a day, even though their work day, a woman's work day, is nonstop, constant, then, yeah, you obviously have it better. And you're going to compromise your social life. You're not going to have time for friends. You're not going to have time to hang out with your friends without bringing the kids along. I'm never going to bring my kids to go get a beer because that would be ridiculous. But every time you want to have some time with your friends, you're going to have to bring the kids. You're going to have to sacrifice your alone time. There's no more time to read or to follow your own interests. You're going to have to sacrifice your family time. And you, like, that's what I picture when I think of a man's perspective of sacrifice and compromise. Obviously, that's a little bit dramatic, but that is honestly the truth for so many people. What I think about compromise and sacrifice is, in terms of my relationship, me and my boyfriend are so alike in the way that of what we went through before we got into our relationship and how we feel about being in one now, because we are both people that really, really valued our independence and really, really value our careers and our goals. And so coming together, we're sacrificing the fact that I can't be alone and like be as comfortable with it as I used to be. I used to love being alone all the time. Now, when I'm alone, I'm like, ooh, I wish I had my boyfriend. And he also feels that way. He hates being alone now, too. We have compromised our capability of being alone. We have compromised our absolute freedom. There is no absolute freedom in a relationship. I can't just go off and do whatever I want at any time. I can't, like, if I want to, Like, obviously, if I want to go out and have a drink after work and like go to the bar for hours and hours, I think there's one person that would want to know where I'm at when they're at home waiting for me. Like, and I think about it in terms of think about what compromise and sacrifice means in a relationship with your mom and a relationship with your siblings, and then compare that to the sacrifice and compromise that you've done in a relationship with your significant other. And a significant other, obviously, for a lot of people, that's the most important relationship in their life. And should it be? Maybe. I mean, that is your mate for life. I don't know if I believe in that. I really have to think on that. I'm not opposed to it. Do I mean, like, I think my relationship to my mom is just as important as, or my sister, or my best friend to my partner. Mm, but there is, like, maybe not. There's a significance that my partner holds. I mean, who knows? I'll think about that a little bit more. But, um, like, I have given up a lot of things so that my sister can go hang out with her friends, can have a cool room, you know? And like my mom, like, uh, but I don't think that I've ever given so much to them that it has completely damaged my character. Compromise does not mean giving away yourself. It doesn't mean ruining your life so that this other person can thrive. It's about maybe giving a bit of things that obviously are valued when you're independent, giving those things away so that your relationship can thrive, and also getting the same from your partner. And sometimes there is a little tit for tat. Sometimes there is a little difference in percentage. But if that's a long time thing of I'm giving 95% and you're giving 5%, obviously that's not okay. But sometimes it's going to be 60-40. Sometimes it's going to be 30-70. Sometimes it's going to be 90-10. And but it should not be like that every single day of your relationship till the end of time. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like women are so expected to give so much more. Anyways, I don't even know how I got on this topic, to be honest. I feel like I've just been kind of rambling. I don't even know where this came from, but but to sum it all up, because it's been I am hungry. To end this out, what do I want to say? I feel like a lot of relationships fail these days, and so many people are terrified to enter relationships because we as humans in this era, we don't really treat each other well, especially in relationships, or maybe it's just come to light. And I think women want a lot more than what they've had in the past because it's hurt them. It hasn't been healthy, it hasn't been good for us, and so obviously we want more. And I'm not saying that as a woman you still have to sacrifice stuff. You still have to like be pushed down if you want a relationship. That's not true. But relationships, I think, have just like, they're so messy. It's so bizarre what we all think relationships should look like and how different they look like to so many people. But I feel like this world at least needs just a little bit of hope, and we need more trust, and we need to treat each other better. Like, if we keep hurting each other, we're just going to keep hurting. But I have a call coming in to wrap it all up. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week for another video where maybe I'll be more coherent, guys. This is just like an every episode thing. I hope that I made a little bit of sense. Don't compromise too much. And don't mix up what compromise means in a relationship because of what men have said for all of history. Because they have really brainwashed us into thinking that we must give everything to get a little bit back. And that's not true. But I think that both people in a relationship have to give and have to be vulnerable to make something special. And like I think that when I was making terms for my relationship when I was single, there was probably so many things that I would have been like, okay, yeah, that's the moment that you break up. Relationships are not dating apps. And we don't have as many options as we think we do. And if you want a good, lasting relationship, don't stay with a toxic guy. Like, don't stay with somebody who's ruining your life. But sometimes you have to have a little hope and give a little chance so that something better can come out of it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep rambling like it's never gonna make complete sense even to me, but whatever. Okay, I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Have a great day and a great week. Yeah. Okay, bye.